I will be looking this way the entirety of the video because I am reading this off of a prepared writing. My experience with the Blair dress code consists of getting called out by teachers for inappropriate dress. Every day for the past 2 semesters, I have been wearing the same types of skirts, all identical in length and size, only varying in color. And I have been wearing different shirts that typically have the same style to them, usually button-downs. If I was dressed scandalously, I would have not made it along this far. Expression is different from wearing whatever you want, I have been told. But wearing what one teacher deems okay is not expressing myself. And besides, by next period I'll be going to another that finds it sexually provocative. And everyone knows that having physical sensations and emotions is not okay. Once those floodgates open, you can't do anything but stare at that gorgeous, gleaming strap of fabric that holds up her mounds of flesh, if you know what I mean. After getting used to certain teachers disliking me for standing my ground on the appropriateness of my appearance, they got in contact with Mr. Currents, the administrator for my grade. This led to him pulling me out of class after I had recently been reprimanded by the school for missing school days, to sit in his office and to have him call my mother in front of me on the phone, although I was not allowed to join the conversation or listen to her end of it for the length of the full hour and 45-minute period. I had to sit through him telling her in demeaning terms, whilst talking over her, that the fishnets I was wearing were inappropriate and provocative, that, did she know, I left the house in this, and did she know that the dress code is up to staff subjectivity. In simple terms, he said that my ripped-up tights were sexually provoking him to my mother, whilst I sat and felt like the educational system was not meant for me nor any other woman. He also proceeded to tell me that I had to speak so he could listen to the way I said things, but admitted he did not care to hear a word of what I actually had to say. Other complaints teachers gave about my distractiveness he read off of an email to me, whilst not informing me that that was what he was doing, included laughing. The complaints included laughing. Fishnets in my mother's day were worn by 2-year-olds, and that was a much more conservative era. I tried ignoring the threats dealt at me of punishment. However, eventually I had a random teacher follow me one day on my way to class, and when I turned around to go to the counseling office, she began following me, as I have mentioned, screaming down the hallway at security guards, following me across 3 different floors, to finally say to the security guard who listened to her that she didn't want to embarrass me, and tell him why she was harassingly following me and screaming at me in front of my peers and acquaintances in the haven of school, a quote-unquote safe place. I didn't return to school for 3 weeks after this. I had reached my limit. I was too uncomforted to come back. I tolerated so much already I should have not had to deal with, but this was just absolutely ridiculous. It disappointed me further to know that the principal, Miss Johnson, did not stand behind me, to know the female head of the educational establishment only values education for one gender that I did not fall under made me realize I had no chance at winning this battle, as I was called in for a meeting about my plan for coming back. She had one day before this meeting given her word to my mother I would not be bothered about dress code, that she and my mother would have a private meeting to discuss the issue. The day after giving said word, I could not walk 50 feet into the school without staff telling me I was not allowed to go any further, I was not allowed to print my work out and go to class, that I had to immediately go sit in the main office for 20 minutes and wait upon Miss Johnson to arrive, who then, against her promise, ogled me up and down and pulled in a counselor, Miss Putney, to ogle me too, because, and she has reiterated this saying to me many times in different ways, it's okay for her to ogle me, because she's a woman. Back to the meeting. After missing 3 weeks of school, Miss Johnson thought bringing in administrators that did not deal with my grade and my counselor would be a good idea, because again, Mr. Currents is a man, and that's obviously what went wrong with the dress code discussions before. In this meeting, I explained my views frankly. I explained the prejudice towards females in general, and on top of that, heavier-weighted females and females who are tall, and how teachers use the dress code to attack students they dislike. I explained to her how I had seen girls go braless with white see-through shirts, how one girl, a teacher's favorite, has gone the entire year never once being asked to take off her hat, How I see stick-thin short girls go entire days in crop tops that show their entire stomachs, shorts that go shorter than the skirts I always wear, yet my cleavage is too much, and my 18-inch skirts that completely cover me are distractions to males. Emphasis on the fact that males are the ones we need to keep from getting distracted. Emphasis on the fact that we don't teach focus or self-control. We teach that all males have to be heterosexual predators. We teach that women are objects, these distractions, who no matter how much emotional affliction we put to, are expected to understand they have done wrong and should stop being slackers and missing school, that the teachers and staff only say this because they don't want something bad to happen. They have said this to me in concerning voices, and by concerning, I mean voices that concern me for my safety, rather than ones concerned about me. I only fear my safety, mentally and emotionally. I don't feel my safety around my male peers. My math teacher, Miss Wardan, has called me out on my cleavage before, yet she has pictures of women in bikinis on her wall. I go to lunch every day, and I see pictures taken by staff of males on swim teams shirtless and in Speedos, and yet I'm told my bra slightly showing from under my shirt, even though that is double protection for my nipples, which have never once shown, is outrageously inappropriate. At the end of the meeting, addressing my 3-week hiatus, I was told it was my choice to button up a single button more on my regular shirts or be expelled. I was told I'd have a set deadline for makeup work for all 8 of my courses. I was told I wouldn't have to go to each teacher to talk about work, for in reality that means getting criticized and going through the occasionally updated labyrinth of Edline. I was told so many things by Miss Johnson, but the biggest lie she told me was that she valued my education as a female student. I think the dress code needs to be standardized. Teacher subjectivity is code for perversion, personal belief, and prejudiceness. I think that boys and girls should have matching lists of what is appropriate. If a boy can have his image blown up on a flat screen presented daily to the entire school of him in only a Speedo, then so should a girl. I think so long as nipples are covered with cloth that gives as much coverage as a bra, and genitalia and butt cheeks are covered, anyone should be allowed to wear what they desire so long as it has nothing racist, homophobic, etc. on it and is not see-through or on the verge of ripping. I am Cindy Gilbert, and this is my personal story about the dress code at Blair High School.